Dr. Amelia Bedelia by Hartman Parrish. Pictures by Len Sweat. This is a Reading Level 2 book published by Scholastic in 2002. It was a hot day in August. Mr. Rogers was even hotter. "Amelia Bedelia!" yelled Mr. Rogers. "What are you doing?" "What's wrong?" said Amelia Bedelia. "You said it was hot enough to—" "Stop!" said Mr. Rogers. "I said it was hot enough to fry an egg on the sidewalk, not on my car." "Well," said Amelia Bedelia, "you should be glad I'll never fry your eggs on a dirty old sidewalk." "Forget about eggs," said Mr. Rogers. "You'll be late for your appointment with Dr. Horton. Jump in the car." "Yes, sir," said Amelia Bedelia. She bounced up and down in her seat. "Sit still," said Mr. Rogers. "Good," said Amelia Bedelia. "It wasn't easy to jump in your car." Mr. Rogers shook his head. "What kind of doctor is Dr. Horton?" he asked. "The best kind," said Amelia Bedelia. She's a very good doctor." "Of course," said Mr. Rogers. "I mean, who does Dr. Horton treat?" "Everyone," said Amelia Bedelia. "She treats good boys and girls to ice cream." They arrived at Dr. Horton's office. Mr. Rogers took out a bottle. "What are those pills?" asked Amelia Bedelia. "They are for a headache," asked Mr. Rogers. "Why do you want a headache?" asked Amelia Bedelia. "I have a headache now," said Mr. Rogers. "Then why do you want another one?" asked Amelia Bedelia. "I don't," said Mr. Rogers. "In fact, I'm getting rid of my biggest headache. Goodbye." "Goodbye," said Amelia Bedelia. "Thanks for the ride, and I hope you feel better." "Thank you," said Mr. Rogers. "Call me when you're done." Amelia Bedelia opened the door to Dr. Horton's office. It was a lot noisier than usual. "Amelia Bedelia," said Nurse Amy's, "you're a sight for sore eyes." "How terrible," said Amelia Bedelia. "I'm sorry that your eyes hurt." "My eyes are fine," said Nurse Amy's, "but I'm up to my eyeballs in patients. Dr. Horton had to visit the hospital. Would you give me a hand until she gets back?" "No," said Amelia Bedelia, "but both of my hands are attached to me. But I'll be glad to help you." Right then a telephone rang. "Hello, this is Dr. Horton's office," said Amelia Bedelia. "This is Mrs. Benders," said a woman. "I'm calling because I got hives." "That's great," said Amelia Bedelia. "I bet you have honey." "Don't call me honey," said Mrs. Benders. "Do you know what that means? To have hives?" "I sure do," said Amelia Bedelia. "Stop calling me honey," said Mrs. Benders. "I'm coming down to see Dr. Horton right now." "Good," said Amelia Bedelia. "Please bring us some honey." Mrs. Benders hung up on her. "Guess what?" said Amelia Bedelia. "Mrs. Benders is coming to see us." "Oh my," said Nurse Amy's. Mrs. Bender is a pain in the neck, but her heart is in the right place. Wow, said Amelia Bedelia. It would be terrible if her heart were down in her foot. This is April, said Nurse Amy's. She is a little scared. Will you take her temperature? I'll try, said Amelia Bedelia. Give it a shot, said Nurse Amy's. A shot, wailed April. Don't worry, said Nurse Amy's. It's just a thermometer. Amelia Bedelia, will you tell me the temperature in 3 minutes? I don't have a watch, said Amelia Bedelia. Look out the window, said Nurse Amy's. The bank across the street has a big clock. Amelia Bedelia was busier than ever. She answered call after call after call. I hear a ringing in my ears. A ringing? Maybe you should answer the doorbell. My nose hurts on the bridge. Well, get off that bridge. I caught some kind of bug. I hope you let it go. Bugs can bite. Oh, Amelia Bedelia, said Nurse Amy's. Don't forget about the temperature. Amelia Bedelia ran to the window. It says 98 degrees. Fine, said Nurse Amy's. 98 is normal. Yes, said Amelia Bedelia. That is normal for August. For August? Said Nurse Amy's. Don't you mean for April? Finally, April smiled. A boy came into the office. Excuse me, he said. I am here for a test. Then you must be lost, said Amelia Bedelia. You have to go to school to take a test. I am here for a blood test, said the boy. A blood test? Asked Amelia Bedelia. What kind of crazy test is that? True or false? I wish it were, said the boy. Well, said Amelia Bedelia, let's give it a try. True or false? Do you have blood? True, he said. Of course I have blood. Then you will pass, said Amelia Bedelia. If I didn't have blood, asked the boy, then you would pass out, said Amelia Bedelia. Hi, Andy, said Nurse Amy's. We need to draw your blood. Amelia Bedelia, please take Andy to the exterminating room. Look at all the blank paper, said Amelia Bedelia. Andy, why don't you draw your own blood? Amelia Bedelia gave Andy a big red pen. He began to draw. My mom told me, said Andy, when you draw blood, you will feel a little sick. Amelia Bedelia looked all around. Here, she said, feel this old ice cream stick. Those depressed your tongue, said Andy. Right you are, said Amelia Bedelia. A stick without ice cream, those depress anyone's tongue. That reminds me, said Amelia Bedelia. She made a phone call. As soon as she hung up, the telephone rang. Dr. Horton's office, said Amelia Bedelia. I have a problem, said a man. I'm a little hoarse. A little horse? Huh, said Amelia Bedelia. You can't fool me. A pony can't talk. I have a frog in my throat. The man croaked. Yuck, the man croaked. Yuck, said Amelia Bedelia. Spit it out. Listen to me, he said. I'm sick as a dog. Make up your mind, said Amelia Bedelia. Pony, frog, or dog? Maybe you should call a vet. I'm coming down there, he said, and hang up. The telephone rang again. Dr. Horton's office, said Amelia Bedelia. Hello, my office, joked Dr. Horton. Hi, Dr. Horton, said Amelia Bedelia. I have been helping Nurse Amy's. How nice of you, said Dr. Horton. So much has happened, said Amelia Bedelia. Best of all, April is normal for August. April? August? What? Said Dr. Horton. And I gave Annie a blood test, said Amelia Bedelia. You drew Annie's blood? Asked Dr. Horton. No, said Amelia Bedelia. Annie drew his own blood. The table is covered with it. What? Shouted Dr. Horton. Are you treating my parents? Are you treating my patients? Not yet, said Amelia Bedelia. But I will soon. Don't tease me, said Dr. Horton. I'm almost out of patients. Oh, no, you are not, said Amelia Bedelia. Your office is full of patients. I'll be right there, said Dr. Horton. The office door burst open. Out of my way, yelled a woman. I am Mrs. Bender. Just look at my hives. How nice, said Amelia Bedelia. You came to bring us honey. But first let's take care of the pain in your neck. Amelia Bedelia began to wrap Mrs. Bender's in bandages, but she did not finish the job. All the patients Amelia Bedelia had upset on the phone stormed into the waiting room. Just then, Dr. Horton walked in. Calm down, said Dr. Horton. I'll take care of everyone. Dr. Horton looked at the crowd in her office. Who's first? She asked. Me, said the delivery man. This ice cream is starting to melt. What? Ice cream? Said Dr. Horton. Your ice cream, said Amelia Bedelia. I told you I was treating your patients. Dr. Horton laughed. Good for you, she said. My patients all deserve a treat. They were eating their ice cream when Mr. Rogers arrived. Amelia Bedelia, said Mr. Rogers. I was worried he didn't. Why didn't you call? I've been busy, said Amelia Bedelia. Yes, said Dr. Horton. She was a huge help. And you must be Mr. Rogers. Pleased to meet you, said Mr. Rogers. Dr. Horton looked at Mr. Rogers. Do you feel okay? Asked Dr. Horton. You don't look very good. We know that, said Amelia Bedelia, but we have gotten used to him. Say, said Dr. Horton. Uh-huh, said Mr. Rogers. Not uh-huh, said Amelia Bedelia. Say like this. Uh-huh, said Dr. Horton. I knew it. Amelia Bedelia, take Mr. Rogers home and get him into bed. I'm as strong as an ox, said Mr. Rogers. Yes, dear, said Mr. Rogers, as stubborn as a mule, with chicken pox. Speaking of chickens, said Amelia Bedelia, here is homemade chicken noodle. Here are some homemade chicken noodle soup. Yum, said Mr. Rogers. This hits the spot. Which spot? Asked Amelia Bedelia. This big spot on my cheek, or a little spot on my chin, or maybe a teeny spot on... Enough, said Mr. Rogers. Okay, said Amelia Bedelia. I'll go and wash those eggs off your car. Good idea, said Mr. Rogers. And put some wax on it too. Sure thing, said Amelia Bedelia. Amelia Bedelia got a pail and some water, and she did not forget the wax. And this was Calling Dr. Amelia Bedelia. Have a great night, everyone.